Jai Hind and welcome to Dev Talks. This is Aadi. Protests in China, COVID lockdown. Guess who didn't predict it on this channel, sir? Good evening.
Yeah, yeah. No, that was bound to happen, and it was only a natural outflow of what we've been speaking for the past 1 year. Uh, so, right, it doesn't surprise me at all. But what is interesting is where will it go ahead?
Yeah,
That's the more interesting thing, which I think we need to discuss.
absolutely, sir. Sir, firstly, thank you so much for joining. I just started with a joke to kind of elevate the situation, but I think what is happening there is pretty serious. Although the narrative, and one saw a couple of, if I may, toolkits coming out. Uh, One was labor uprising in China, and I did a video on this also. It was a hashtag that was promoted. That thing kind of fizzled out. There is still a lot of protests. I thought it's going to be a weekend affair. I honestly thought Monday things will kind of settle in. Didn't happen. Tuesday didn't happen. Today also there is news. Now, how do you see this? Let's just hear your opening analysis, sir.
Look, what is happening in China is this is look is very peculiar. You have to see it under the larger canvas. This is an outpouring of something which is actually kickstarted some time back, and that's the conflict in the way they've handled the coronavirus as a whole. Okay, so uh, will this lead somewhere? It's a question mark that we can discuss. What will happen to the Chinese state? We can discuss because something is going to happen. Where it's going to lead somewhere, it will happen. There's no doubt about it. Uh, why it has happened, we can discuss. But uh, definitely, we need to understand this phenomenon.
Mm.
That's why, actually, so far, I have not written on it. The lot of people have said, "Why are you going to write on the protests in China?" The, I'm not going to write on it immediately because one has to think through this whole story and then write. I've still not been able to connect the dots.
Hmm. There's
So
something
even
missing.
no, it's not something missing. We need to get the right uh, direction. I mean, even today when we discuss this issue, I'm seeking for that thing. Where is what's going to happen further?
Hmm. Hmm.
So we can start.
So, firstly, I want to keep this premises because both of us actually came to this conclusion that the lockdowns were to kind of start to control the population as well. Social credit system, not just for the population, but for the corporates and the whole, actually, the entire Chinese system, if I may. Now, from there to here, is it that the Chinese people know what's coming for them? And this is another
Look,
outburst?
at the grassroots level, uh, if you analyze these protests, it's the beginning of something which is going to happen in China. This is not
Are
the
you
end.
talking about the demographic or the.
No, there are a lot of things, a lot of moving parts in China. One has to understand that there are a lot of moving parts in China, and then those moving parts are going to affect thing. Uh, One of the moving parts why this has happened is that the people see a, a breakdown in the contract between the Party and the people. We give us, don't give us, we'll give you your freedom, you give us happiness. That fundamental social contract is uh, getting frayed. Okay. Now, when that fraying happens, everything happens. So I think we need to go back and see the macro picture, and then we'll get back to the subject.
Sure, sir. I believe you got some stuff collected for us, so why don't we get into
Yeah,
that? We
yeah,
can
I'll do. Yeah,
get
just
into
show the
the flow
slides.
and take it
Yeah,
forward.
we'll take it. So let's have the slides. Oh yeah, this is my new website, Ghana Shot. Um, I'll welcome all of you to Ghana Shot. Okay. What? I made this website. I had a blog earlier. I had a lot of requests saying that you know we are not able to access all the material. I made a website. That also didn't work too well. Then I went in and with the help of my son, who's a software engineer, I made this website my own. Put in a lot of effort. Uh, I've already had about 700 posts on this, 600 plus posts on this, 600 to 700. I don't know the numbers still. So I categorized each of them, put them in organized things. So if you go into this website, you can access each of my articles, which are duly categorized. You can go from China, you can go to India, you can go to Pakistan, you can go to videos. They're all, for example, if you want to see a video, this video, when I actually put it on post, it will appear in videos. It will appear in China also. So right.
There's a compliment as well, sir.
Thanks a lot. And I've opened a facility for someone to subscribe. I would like people to subscribe so that as and when I put out posts, it comes directly. You don't have to keep coming, and so that's how it is, right? The okay. So let's now talk about China. Now, China has hit the record of 40,000 cases daily. This is the official count, which is coming out of South China Morning Post. What will be the unofficial count? No one knows. So obviously, the coronavirus is out of control there. Okay. So what does they say? They say case numbers will increase if stringent measures are not sustainable. So that is a given. Given the fact that the Chinese are vulnerable to this problem, um, there is a winter surge which is going to happen. Okay, so this is going to go out of control. And you're talking about population which is not fully vaccinated. You're also talking about a population where the vaccines have failed. Okay, so this is it. They say end PCR tests, focus resources on severe cases, boost elderly vaccination rates. That's a problem.
Yeah,
Okay, public health experts advise, and which let me tell you, the public health system in China is weak. That's the crux of the problem.
crux of the problem.
Yeah, we'll come to it a little later. I have one more slide on it. Yeah, look at this. This is what today China caught in a COVID-19 bind as winter approaches. That's what South China Morning Post says. Most of the country's vast population lacks natural immunity to virus. People are not prepared psychologically if outbreaks evade restrictions.
Yeah.
Look, I was just discussing with, we were having a family discussion. The best combination to combat the coronavirus, if you look at it dispassionately, was actually the zero COVID approach of China with good vaccines.
Good vaccines. Absolutely.
Okay, the rest of the world suffered due to lack of uh, the zero COVID approach, but they had good vaccines and they got out of it.
Yeah.
China is cannot get out of it because of poor vaccines, right? Their zero COVID approach has actually stood them in good stead so far, but their lack of vaccines is killing them, and this lack of vaccines won't run away because if vaccines are imported from, say, USA, which is anathema to them, or from Europe, or from India, then they lose face. Naak kat gaya. Xi Jinping's power is out, and just last month he said he's again reinforced the victory of his zero COVID approach. He has
Yeah.
reinforced 1 month back that I will have zero COVID. What does he do? People say that the zero COVID thing has been diluted. The moment he's diluted the thing, there are 40,000 cases gone up every day. I mean, this is the last 40,000 is nothing. In India, there might be 40,000 as it is, but no one's bothered.
नहीं,
Why they
nobody
have
is.
to? Huh?
I
जितना
don't
भी
think
है,
so.
I mean, in any other
Nobody
place,
knows. I
nobody
mean, the
knows.
idea is, my idea of me saying that is nobody knows. I mean, हाँ ठीक है. Mysore had
होगा.
one case yesterday, so
No,
I don't
no.
know.
The people are. Look, let me tell you. Last month, I had to get a COVID test done. So I
Hmm.
went to a place. I said, "COVID test कराओ." He said, "भाई क्यों बेवकूफ है? क्यों कर रहा है?" Okay, so that's the status everywhere else. Whereas here, you are talking of a test pattern every 3 days. People don't have money to take tests. The government has put it on state governments who don't have money. So there are a lot of issues. There are a lot of they've got into a tangle which they cannot come out. If they end zero COVID without the vaccines, they're going to have problems. If they have problems, uh, if they have zero COVID, their economy is getting hit. If they don't have zero COVID, their economy is going to get hit. Both ways. If you remember, I don't remember. I would like you to put it out. And we had spoken of this 1 year back, 2 years back in our
Oh
episode.
yes, oh yes, sir. China will never be a superpower. That's the name of the episode.
Yeah, and I'd like people to read that.
I'd, I'd link it
And
in the video.
no, if you can't link it, go to the Gunner Shot website and ask for this. Search for it, you'll get it in videos. Very simple.
China will never be a superpower is the name.
Superpower. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so this is it. Now, you're talking of hostile forces which are happening. China's security chief vows crackdown hostile forces after protests against COVID restrictions. State media had calls on Chinese public to build a barrier of epidemic prevention and control. How can the public build a barrier of epidemic prevention and control? Okay. Now, फायर तो उरुमकी में हुआ है.
Hmm.
Security forces are urged to prevent and contain major accidents and protect lives and property. They have the guns who started this. Fire was on. They wanted COVID restrictions and people died. It could happen to anyone else, anywhere else. Why only in Urumqi? So there is anger in people who have been bottled up for the past 2 years, who have no trust in their vaccines. So the trust is going down. And you have to also factor in there is high, the rate of unemployment is at the highest, wages are going down, exports are going down, internal consumption is not taking place, Chinese economy is stagnating, to use a kind word. Okay, so where will they go? They have to rest somewhere, it has to come out. We spoke of the bridge man some time back when you put that thing up. That was only one person. It was a big message. Now today these protests are very small. I mean, they could be 100, 200, 300 people in, even 10 different places in China. But they'll all be caught. They have this facial recognition system. सबको पकड़ के अंदर कर देंगे. Even if certain protests go out of hand, okay, the Chinese system will clamp down on them. We also saw protests when the bank problems happened. Now you connect, the banking system is under stress, people have protested. The COVID problems have come, people have protested. So the issue is that one protest will get linked to the other and the people will get unhappy. At this point of time, there is no organized resistance in China.
Hmm. It's just sporadic, yes, sir.
It is sporadic. There is nothing organized because unlike in a country like India where the resistance to a problem can get organized into something through social media, all that, and through organizations, and you have different parties in the system, you have different interest groups, okay, in India or for that matter any other democracy, you have unions, you will have riots, this, that, the thing will come out. In this, that has not happened. They cannot happen. It will not happen in a hurry. So, what will be the net result? This is my view. The net result is Chinese will clamp down on the system. The government will clamp down on the system. What will happen when the clampdown takes place? That's the question. Okay, now we have to go a little further to see why the question. Remember, China's miracle is all about economy. If the economy goes down, China goes down. China is an economic superpower. It is not a military superpower. It's not a diplomatic superpower. It's not a technological superpower. Anything happens to that economy, it it has a problem. Look at this. Look at what U.S. Embassy has said there. U.S. Embassy in China urges Americans to stock up on daily necessities amid COVID surge and protests.
14 days, yes.
Yeah,
Today morning.
yeah. So the assessment in Beijing by the American embassy is this.
Crackdown.
So there is a crackdown coming up. Include residential quarantines, mass testing, transport disruption, and possible family separation. So you might come to a stage where now whether this is the truth or not is not. The point is this is out in the open now. Okay. If US has said this, everyone else will take lead, follow the lead.
Every day this will come. Next 3 days
Yeah.
you'll get.
Yeah. Now you- this is the spearhead of a problem, industrial problem of the
Mm.
Foxconn system. Now they're talking how Apple's biggest contractor fell victim to China's zero COVID policy. Yeah, whoa, all that. It can. I mean, just look at it. The vast Foxconn compound in Zhengzhou, known as iPhone City, can accommodate up to 3 lakh workers who live on site in dormitories. That is what China has been doing. That these on site dormitories, people sitting in factories away from families. If you see the reality, just imagine 3 lakh people working on site on a dormitory for the past 2 years, producing iPhones and nothing else, away from their families. If that is broken by the COVID, which is happening, that is why this problem has taken place. People are running away. At the end of the day, people are people. They want families, they want children, they want everyone.
Yeah.
Okay. So if this is happening in iPhone, it will happen in elsewhere. Then what will Apple do now? They will say, yeah, in this kind of a condition, why should I continue with this factory? I will slowly have other options. The other options they already have started creating 1 year back. Look, there's a larger issue which you and I spoke. Decoupling. We did it. We did something on decoupling.
Recently, sir.
Yeah.
The
What did I?
grand opening from China.
And again, you can find this both either in the YouTube or on my blog, on my website. What did we say then? I put a 5 year timeline on it.
This kind of stuff will rush it up.
This will rush it up. No, I still say 5 years. It's not going to be easy. We have only completed 2 years. 22 we are. 20 is when the thing started.
Mm.
Decoupling will take time. In 5 years' time, you will see the effect of stagnation of Chinese, supply lines and economy. It will become marked. And you need how much decoupling? I always maintain if you achieve 20% decoupling from China over a 5 year period, 20% decoupling.
It's a lot, sir.
It's a lot. Foxconn has already achieved it. Apple has already achieved the 20% decoupling. 20%.
He- He's the guy who's announced it. You don't know where, you know, who all
Others will start. It's a matter of time.
time, sir.
My time horizon was 5 years. And this decoupling will take place due to friendshoring, offshoring, China plus one policy, XYZ.
Ah,
All that is which we've spoken of. Nothing new. But the thing is this coronavirus, as per I read the reports, that the coronavirus will eventually fade away in a couple of years' time. Eventually, couple of years' time. Okay. In all other places, it will become an endemic. And from a pandemic, it will become an endemic.
आता रहेगा.
Tolerable. जाता रहेगा वो ठीक है. But not for China. Right. For China, the problem is at this point of time what it was for probably others, say, a year back. So it's going, if the next 2 years the Chinese productivity falls, they are only hastening this decoupling. Their exports are going to go down.
It's
No,
already
if that,
happened.
if yeah, it's already happening. If that happens, if the internal consumption also goes down, Mr. Xi Jinping's dual circulation goes down.
That is,
Give it 5 years. Look, there's a larger issue. I'm coming to that, and this is my theory. Give it 5 years. In 5 years, if the economy goes flat, after it will decline faster, because by then the population problem would have settled. We have to understand this phenomenon and not look today. I'm looking at it, say, over a 20-year horizon. This is my view. Others might have their view. I have no problem. But let me tell you, Adi, and all our viewers, so far, whatever I have predicted and analyzed about China has not been wrong. I wrote an article called China an Overstretched Hegemon in 2018 or 19. Okay? It is true today. It's coming true today. 50% of that article is absolutely coming bang on today. And I'm going to rewrite that now. That's a different story. Okay. Look at UK. UK says China is a systemic challenge. And they also said that the golden era between the two countries is over.
hmm,
China poses a systemic challenge to Britain's values and interests, the PM says. Okay, so what about Canada? Okay, the Canadian strategy calls China an increasingly disruptive global power and points to activities in South China Sea and Xinjiang.
they've released an Indo-Pacific policy.
Policy. You can accuse China, you can accuse Canada. Oh, why, how am I a threat? You are a bloody threat there. Let's be very clear. So there is a issue in China which we have to understand. This phenomenon is something of things larger than. Now they have gone and snubbed us also. We should be clear where we stand with China. Okay?
I don't think we even expected them to call us. I
No,
didn't.
that's a different story. But the foolishness of China is apparent in this. They still seek a global role when their internal house is collapsing.
And a lot of Indo-Pacific countries have said we are not going. So
And yes, so they are living in a fool's world. Now, what does it tell you? I'm not bothered about whether they snub China, India or not. It tells me that they're investing into the military, they're investing into all this nonsense, when they don't have anything to do at home. So, what are they doing? They're hastening their own decline. That's the larger point. If you, okay, yeah, this is the last slide which I wanted to put across.
May I
Um,
remove this?
yeah, please. So, the larger point is that you're looking at a very unstable China. I've already written instability in China. I've written instability in China due to Xi Jinping. I've written about it and about people. Again, but this is one of my latest articles on China, which again, please go to the website and you'll find it. We've also spoken of I've also written an article called the rising trajectory of a falling China. Okay.
That's a rhetorical statement, sir.
Yeah, it's an oxymoronical statement, but that's it. I've proven it. Why it's going to this thing. Well, everyone thinks otherwise, but I have my own view, and I'll stick to it. I'll stick to it. Okay.
No, I mean, with all what is happening around there doesn't seem to be coming to any other conclusion.
Well, you can call me the China expert who's never been to China.
Yeah, that. Oh,
Okay.
I know where you're coming from. There was a comment on our this thing who said, "Look at the bright faces in China," and I just want to ask the gentleman if he still sees them
Uh,
or he sees the white
no,
faces.
no, ठीक है. Bright faces in China are all colored with corona virus. Poor chaps. I mean, I pity them.
Yeah,
At the
yeah,
end, at the end of the day, you're talking of
human
1.4
being.
billion people. People, okay, held hostage by a few thugs of the Communist Party. And the
So
chief
I have
thug,
a
yeah,
couple of things to kind of add because I picked up some stuff which I
yeah.
kind of.
Go ahead, go ahead.
One
Actually, you should
is
minimize my thing and you maximize yours and
so
talk.
I just picked up some stuff from what you said. One is, did Qatar trigger this? Because the Chinese are crazy about football. There's no questions about it. They're mad about football. They fly flags and there are bar fights in China. By the way, on football clubs, huh? So on British football clubs. So it's that crazy.
Mm.
Now, did Qatar trigger this? Because he saw an angry push that they were upset about the fact that Qatar is
No.
having fun and we are sitting here locked in.
Yeah,
So
yeah, possible.
that's fun.
Yeah.
If I was anybody in the CCP, I would look at one thing, sir, that we have collected, protests are there, ठीक है, Xi Jinping, hi, or whatever it is. People have collected in a place, collection has already happened. Observe the situation for the next 3 days. If your cases don't spike, open.
But yeah, you're not anybody in CCP. That's why. If they could think like you would be the next Xi Jinping. Yeah.
I mean, start opening. If your case is not spiking, people have collected, they were standing on top of each other,
Look,
screaming, shouting,
no, no,
hitting.
Adi, they can't open. They can't open for the simple reason cases will spike, and you've seen the cases they hit. They're going to all times high,
Yeah.
and if all time high cases, देखो यार, बड़ा simple. I'll give you a very people oriented thing. If cases spike, who will die? Old people. So the grandfathers and the grandmothers will die. Now, if that happens, there's an emotional problem which is going to happen in people. It is logical. And then the fallacy of this Chinese system will, come out. You have to, there's a basic fact. They tried out these vaccines in clinical trials on young people and not old people. There's no faith. All this nonsense of technology, Chinese technology is all gone. Third rate guys, these chaps are. Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you to comment about the PLA and the current situation about that. It's a widely accepted belief the PLA, if anything has to happen in China, It's the PLA. Right now, it's.
Look,
I mean, we saw pictures of these tanks and this and that. There was.
look,
I
that reaction will come. Let's be very clear. The PLA will crack hard down on everyone. They will have enough motivated fools, specialized units who are trained to handle this.
People's
See,
police.
again, no, you have to again realize that the PLA, the first job of PLA is to keep the party in power. It's not a national army like the Indian Army or the US Army or the British Army, or for that matter, even the Russian Army. It's not the army of the country, it's the army of the party. So the first job of the PLA is to keep the party in power. If the first job of the PLA is to keep party in power, they would they're they're organized to deal with these problems. Okay, so they will come down, they will have indoctrinated people who will do this at the bidding of their communist bosses. So just forget that whether the PLA will react differently. They will act the way the Chinese want them.
Obviously, with the generals having been changed on top.
Yeah, that on that, let's not have any doubts. So don't think that anything will happen with PLA.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have any these things. I honestly, I thought it was going to end by Monday. So
No,
I-
look, people are at pain. Yeah,
I'm
as
I'm
simple
not
as that.
ashamed of admitting it. That was my assessment. I thought it will kind of pile up during the weekend and kind of ease into the next week and kind of
Look, this is the
ease
beginning
out.
of something which is going to happen. It's
Hmm.
like a pressure cooker situation.
Yeah, I
It
realize that too.
something has to happen.
So finally, the demographic of the people that are protesting, that is very interesting to me because it's not the workers, it's not the students. It is a combination of people.
It's
You see older
widespread.
people, you see younger people, you see and I've seen tons of these videos.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. It is a general widespread problem. So everyone is coming out and emoting. The emoting is through these limited number of people, but it gives you an idea of the widespread unhappiness in the society
Overall.
overall. Where will it lead you? It will
That,
lead you. That, yeah, that is the bigger problem which China has to now contend with. How does it regain the trust of the people?
and right now we're just talking about the internal impacts. We're not even talking about what the external impact of this thing
Forget
will
the
be.
external impact. Internal impact is most important. There, this is a very unstable country, as far as I'm concerned. It's not balanced, right?
Mhm.
Because you're only hearing one side of the story. The second side of the story, which is the people's story, is not coming out.
Not coming out. Guys, before I get into the questions, I have just one last thing to ask General Shankar on, and I request you to please. There are obviously a lot of comments and questions. Please start firing, shooting your thoughts, your comments on the subject. Please let's kind of keep it focused, and of course, please do like this video. It's critical for me to reach a larger audience.
Yeah.
We get about 150, 160 likes a video. Please let's cross 200 this time so that we can reach there. And if you can do contribute to the dev talks efforts with the you can become a member, you can send us super chats or super stickers. There was some issue with that in the last video. A lot of people commented about that. I hope you can see the option here, and also you can contribute directly to the UPI mentioned below. Of course, I also have a website where all my videos are there, so please check it out. So let's my okay. Last point that I want to draw out to you is the Chinese firewall.
That won't break, Adi. Let's be very clear because that's controlled
It's
by.
been penetrated. You'll agree with me. It's been penetrated.
I don't know.
How's
I,
all this stuff coming out, sir?
yeah, that will come out. That will come out
Because
through.
the last time when there was a protest in Beijing, Beijing censored Beijing.
I understand what you're saying, but that firewall is not broken to the best. right? This is coming out through other channels. That's why you're not getting uh, nothing much is coming out. The true picture is still not come out, because if the firewall breaks, the communist system will break today.
And it's a flood.
Yeah, yeah. If then the moment that firewall breaks, communication will enable organization. Organization will overturn the Communist Party. As
There are
simple
people
as that.
waiting for that to happen, sir.
Look, will this happen? My guess is it will.
Hmm?
It will over a period of time, because now what will happen is this could trigger people saying, let's organize ourselves in a different manner.
We tried it. It works.
Let's organize. So you'll see some organization coming in because of this for the past 2 years.
That's interesting. Yes, sir.
I mean, that's the next logical step which will happen. You had a problem in the Apple factory. The people there will now know that these factories are closing or offshoring, whatever. Orders are not coming. There are small factories which would pack up because of this, because the tertiary effect of the, say, let's look at it in a slightly different manner. Let's say Apple makes 1,000 phones every day from that factory, but now they are only making 500 phones, and 500
Six,
phones are being. Oh, no, I'm coming to something
six
else.
million, sir. They've
No,
said.
no, no. Wait. I'm coming to something else.
Ah,
Let's take this figure of 1,000. Now, hereafter, those 1,000 phones are not going to be made in that factory. They're going to be made 500 in, say, Chennai and 500 in uh, China. That means for those 500 loss of 500 phones which are being made there, there are people down the line who are losing business for not contributing to the item. The tertiary producers are going to get hit. Those factories are going to close. Now, when that closes, you're going to hit the internal economy. That's why I said the Apple phone is only a spearhead. The rest is yet to come.
pyramid. Hmm.
That, right? And it is a pyramid on one issue. That's a major thing. There's a big supply chain behind Apple which will get affected, which is China based. Secondly, because of Apple, others will also quit. So that means your economy is going down. Your All these protests and all, they have now a synergistic effect on each other. So you will find some organizationally issues coming up, internal problems coming up. The Chinese party might still rule, Communist Party might still rule through brute power, but their focus has to be more internal today. That's the point. They have to spend more internally, which is going to be it's a spiral which is downward overall. Okay, it's not a and if they're going to concentrate on fueling the PLA for global role, then they're in a worse state.
Advice to Chinese people: please stop using your phone. Start going back to written chits. It works.
Yeah. You talk of whatever, and what little one has seen, people have been quite inventive in
Yeah,
circumventing a lot of things.
that's the
So,
point I'm trying
yeah,
to.
so you triggered something which is uncontrollable.
Flying pigeons also work.
Whatever works, even dogs work.
So yeah, see there
Trained
are
dog.
and there are examples of Chinese actually being very innovative in this particular technology.
Yeah.
In this,
See, this will
they were,
happen. This
yeah.
this will happen. Where it will go, one doesn't know. But again, the sum of everything, the sum of all things, if I may say,
What
the
will it
sum
be?
of all things is what I'm looking at, and that's why my 5 year horizon.
The answer. First of all, sir, I have a compliment for you. Thanks, Mr. Naveen, for a
Oh, thanks, Naveen.
Jan Shankar. I discovered Ganashot week back during one of these talks, and I've relished the articles. Thanks again for putting
Thank
together
you.
the forum. Uh, and let's start. General sir, has your opinion changed? And would you agree now that Z may be Mao 2.0, but Chinese people are no longer the people from Mao's era.
Look, you must understand. I've never had a doubt about what I was speaking. I've spoken about Xi Jinping as a dictator. I've written about it. Go to Gunnershot, you'll find that article. Okay, and I think I wrote it for the Sunday Guardian. So I have no doubt that this guy is gone back to the thing, uh, and he sold a dream to the Chinese public, and he's got power. The question is, what will you do with this power? It's too early, but things are going to happen. I've not had any reason to change my mind. In fact, my whole story is reinforced. Every day, such things happen. What I started, Adi and I started talking way back is coming true. What I started writing in 2017-18 is coming true today. So I have no doubt in my mind where China is heading.
If my
Others might
memory
have.
serves me, sir, our first video
Yeah,
is together. The title is "Will the China? No, why did the
will
Chinese go back?"
go back. Yeah,
The second video is "Will the Chinese come back?"
come back. I said they'll
In
not come back then.
both these videos, we've spoken about COVID.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's not new.
and this is what I think September, October, no, February 2021.
And I raised this question. No, you're talking of 21. In 2020, I raised this question: is COVID China's Chernobyl? And I've written 4 articles on this issue, China and Chernobyl. Again, go back to Gunner Shot and read all 4. You'll
There is
see
a
that
difference.
you no. The point I'm trying to make is I have analyzed Chernobyl. I have analyzed the events over the period. I've written about 3 or 4 articles on China and Chernobyl. You will see a different flavor in each of the articles, but the progression towards Chernobyl is quite evident.
China's Chernobyl.
Yeah, the progression is evident. That's the point I'm trying to make.
So, so
Yeah.
sorry for being rude, but I can't resist remembering McDonald's tagline. I'm loving it.
Okay.
That's interesting. China badly needs democracy.
Yeah, I don't know whether they need democracy, whatever crazy
They
they
don't
need. Then
understand what it is, sir. I mean, see, this is another very American concept that they can go with a magic wand and change a country into democracy. Do the people even understand it?
the look, China has to decide what it wants.
Yeah.
Okay, it's up to them. But do they deserve Z? I don't think so. Z the Jinping, no one deserves him. Okay, and all the best to them. That's all I can say. Look, I have no problem with China if China doesn't interfere with India.
इंडिया तो अपनी
As
जगह रहो
simple
हम
as
अपनी
that.
जगह रहते हैं
तो जो करना है कर लो. We'll
लेट्स
deal
ट्रेड
with you.
एंड
You mess with us, I'll mess with you. As simple as that.
एब्सोल्युटली I remember the Chinese media making fun of dead bodies on the river Ganga, but our media has shown maturity.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think so.
I
That I
agree with.
agree with you.
Absolutely, that's a very
Look,
interesting.
that's why I said they messed with us, I'll mess with them. As simple as that.
Is Hu Jintao faction provoking
Possible,
supporting protests?
possible, completely possible. If that happens, it's one of the best things that can happen to China. If
So
the promote, look, then there's an opposition to Xi Jinping, and then it collapses. You see, I read an article today. I like to discuss it. It's They say that Xi Jinping is the great accelerator.
okay,
Now, this great accelerator, what is he
of,
accelerating? One
of
point of view is, yeah, one point of view is that he's accelerating China to a greatness and the international dominance, and establishing the Chinese world order. But the counter view is the great accelerator is accelerating the demise of the Chinese Communist Party. Okay, At this point of time, if what this viewpoint has said that Hu Jintao faction is, fueling the protests, that is acceleration of the demise of the Communist Party.
Indeed.
Okay, and you might find a two-party system coming up because something will happen. After the way Hu Jintao has been publicly humiliated, his entire faction
Which
might not reconcile with Xi Jinping. Okay,
that's a mafia gang, so they hold grudges.
so लेट्स सी, आगे आगे देखो होता है क्या.
Like,
अभी तो ट्रेलर है भाई.
China has 320% debt to GDP ratio. How's China
Well,
super rich?
let's be very clear. The debt to GDP ratio is not the only thing which talks of it as a economic superpower. It is an economic superpower. Give it to them.
It might
Okay,
be declining.
but that's a different story. But they're economic heavyweight. Call it what you want.
That's true.
Yeah. Mm.
The evil CCP are in danger of losing China. Seems
Possible, 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 Mandar. I mean, I go with it. Yeah.
decoupling is not that easy. China-US economy are linked cynically with the dollar debt. If biggest manufacturing
Cyclically. Yeah. Mm.
is decoupled, then de-dollarization will be expedited, causing domino effect world over.
Yeah,
May I
I
add
agree. Yeah.
the Chinese have been dumping the US debt for a long time. The Chinese and the Japanese they've been doing. They had 3 trillion. Now they're under about 860 billion today. So they've dumped a lot of the debt.
See, let me put it this way. I don't think this decoupling will is needed to happen 100%. I this is my view. Decoupling will not happen the way we imagine decoupling to happen. You need 20% of decoupling. Just 20% of decoupling to normalize the situation.
Yeah, it won't be a switch off. I don't think that'll happen.
No, no, why should you? I mean, that's foolish.
There are certain
20%,
things China does
look,
really well.
20% of decoupling from China is good enough to put a cap on all these funny actions by China. Okay, you don't
True,
need 100% decoupling.
true. Sir.
Yeah,
This is an interesting thought. Is agitation G's
no,
C's hidden agenda?
I don't think so.
See, I had written this as a joke, as a matter of fact. I didn't think it
Yeah,
was correct. But I said
yeah.
Xi Jinping is trying to showcase the world a very humane face by not cracking down on the protests. It was a realistic thing.
No, but
And
that all look, they are just putting everyone in the trap. They'll pack all of them off. But that's
yeah,
going to fuel things more. See, the interesting thing is this Hu Junta faction which has come out. You know,
let's see, sir. This
let's
will
see
have
how
to
it.
be
Yeah,
observed. There's a,
like I said, I have to connect the dots. I have not yet connected the dots to give you an answer. And when I do, I will write.
talking about China hastening their demise. What is the likelihood of conflict with India if you're not able to contain it? Probably hurt us more. Thoughts, sir?
No, I don't look. I don't think China will go into a conflict with anyone. I don't think China is capable of any conflict with anyone at this point of time. They will do some chit put with India, and that's about all. That we should be ready for the chit put. Okay, China had very good reason to go for conflict during Eastern Ladakh, Doklam, and all. They didn't when they were more strong, on all fronts. Today they're not that strong, so I don't think they'll uh, try that.
Whether protests will continue or not, it is bad for China. What is the worst outcome for India? Will India need China to be maintained at some level to counterbalance USA in the
No,
future?
I don't think so. The worst outcome for China is it starts disintegrating. Okay, and democracy sits in. That's the worst outcome for China. I don't talk of this. India needs China to counterbalance USA. Why should you counterbalance USA? Democracies, we'll know how to live with them. We didn't need China to counterbalance USA when we were having problems with Pakistan and when we were under sanctions. We'll handle USA on its own merit. Aren't we doing it today? So it's not a big deal.
So
Yeah, and we shouldn't get involved with this. Yeah.
ग्रेट पावर पॉलिटिक्स एब्सोल्युटली सर.
Yeah.
चाइना में लॉकडाउन केवल कोविड के कारण नहीं लगाया गया, बल्कि बेरोजगारी मुख्य कारण है.
Yeah, possible. I go with something.
Inflation sir, shortage of
See,
fuel.
the a lot of things are at stake. Uh, let's look at it little economically. The prices of oil have fallen down. Why? The prices of oil have fallen down because the demand is reduced. Why is demand reduced? Because there is not an energy requirement. Why? Energy requirement is not there since inflation is on and factories are closing down. So there is a trickle down effect. If you connect those T's and the dots, there are cogent reasons.
Absolutely sir, no
Yeah,
questions. Does Xi know all the repercussions?
he knows. I'm sure he knows. He's not a fool. That's why he's controlling China. Yeah, there's no
Well,
doubt.
one thing I admire the most about China and USA is that the think tanks they have developed to manipulate information and perception around the world. Can we start a propaganda arm to manipulate the trend?
Well, I we have discussed this
Watch our
about
show on the narrative. I was just about to
on
say
the
that.
our narratives. Okay, we need to have something. We don't need to manipulate opinion.
Yeah, truth.
You need to have the truth. I'll give you something which I read today in Foreign Affairs by a guy called Matt Pottinger. I would suggest people to read this article. He's written all over, about Xi Jinping, and I mean, it's a beautiful article on Xi Jinping's thinking process and the communist thinking process, and what's happening in China ideologically. And he's given a few prescriptions for everyone as to how to go ahead with China, how to handle China. But one sentence in there uh, caught my eye. He says India very wisely banned TikTok.
A lot of people are saying that, sir.
They very wisely banned TikTok, and it is for other democracies to follow suit or something to that effect. Okay, He- there's a lot of airy guy. Matthew Pottinger has studied China in depth. This is the first time someone has actually theoretically reconstructed Xi Jinping's communist ideology. Oh, very deep article. Okay, so if you look at it holistically, I think we are on the right path. We don't need others. We are our own strength. Our truth is our own strength. The pity is that what others say good about you, you don't talk. If you have done the wisest thing and it is not known to the world, who will tell? कोई और तो आके नहीं बोले वो बोल रहा है you are wise and you don't know you are wise.
Funny thing is, हाँ, the best thing is पूरी दुनिया हमारे बारे में,
हाँ
people tell
बोल
me, यार, India is damn good.
हाँ
India is
तो
amazing. India
we,
is,
we,
India वाले
we
बोलते हैं यार, India is useless.
useless. We are convinced that we are fools. Something
This
wrong
is
with us. I mean,
absolutely, I agree with
let me. I'm going to write an article. This I'll support with the facts. Germany was reconstructed by USA. Japan was reconstructed by USA. China has grown due to USA. Okay, that's the fact. These three countries' GDPs are ahead of India. Okay, the rest are all behind you. India has not grown because of USA. No one reconstructed us after the Second World War. In fact, the Britishers, when they left you with two enemies on either side.
purposefully
Some of
that way.
your productive area, the Indus Valley and the Ganga Brahmaputra Valley, were denied to you. The complete jute was a dominant thing in the world those days. The complete jute industry and the jute thing was in Bangladesh. I mean, today's Bangladesh or Pakistan. It was given to Pakistan by the Britishers. You are left with the limping India. You've been left with enemies against whom you have to fight for 4 or 5 wars. No one helped us. You were under sanctions. You didn't get a peace dividend like Germany has got or Japan has got for the past 70 years or China has had for the past 40 years. No
Yeah.
one gave you technology. You are under a technology denial regime. And yet, India has reached where it is. How many of us recognize that this fact?
China was brought into WTO, brought into the NSG, brought into this, brought into that.
You, the point is, we don't realize our own strength.
Yes.
No one helped us to get to this fourth or fifth position. We've had riots, we've had ethnic killings, you had religious divide, you had all kinds of divide, you had disasters. You have gone through all of them, and you are here. We need to have our own strategic confidence that we matter in this world. And what's more, we are one of the few nations who have not lost a war. You leave 62 out.
Superb point. India grew by itself.
Yeah, Kaushik, that's a fact. And I'm going to write on it. Look, I have written last year or early this year, I have spoken of the centrality of India. I have written that India is the third pole. Okay, it is not just because of something from the air. And I'm going to write about this shortly. The fact is that we need to have our own strategic confidence. Yeah,
There are flaws, and you
yeah,
know,
there are huge flaws in our country.
our media and the
I,
judiciary have let us down.
yeah, we have let ourselves down. Why media and judiciary? Our politicians have let us down. Our cricketers have let us down. Our own armed forces at times have let us down. I'm part of the armed forces. Many times we've let ourselves down. Our film stars have let us down. Right? Why only media and judiciary? We have let ourselves down. But at the same time, we have stood by ourselves. We have united as a nation when no one else could do it. We have
Absolutely.
done things which have astounded people. Okay, let me give you a personal example. And I think we'll close it with this after this. The personal example is this. When I got commissioned in 1977, my father gave me an allotment letter for a Lambretta scooter. By you're going to become a commissioned officer, here, go and pick up your scooter. So I said, thanks, Dad. And I remember he had applied for this. उन दोनों में 500 रुपए देना पड़ता था पोस्ट ऑफिस में to stand in line for a Lambretta scooter. He had applied this when I was in fifth or sixth standard, with the hope that one day, whatever I become, when I come of age, I have a Lambretta scooter to go around. You're talking of becoming an officer 12 years later. It took 12 years for someone to book a scooter in India to get it. He didn't
Delivered.
book for himself. He had to book when I was in sixth standard. 77 to 22. Okay. Now, how many years have gone?
40.
45? Yeah, half a century. Today, people will stand in front of you in line and say, please buy a car from me. You have a choice.
You're spoiled for choice.
And in this, who helped us in this 40 years to come to this level? Indians. All of us. The same army, the same media, the same judiciary, the same film stars, the same politicians who have said have let us down, have built us. Let's have confidence in ourselves.
Absolutely. There's no question, sir. That's a I think that's an eye opener. And we spoke about the narrative, and I think this obviously
We,
calls for a larger discussion someday.
yeah, I'll write on this. Let me think through, and I'll come out with some facts and figures, and I'll
Yeah.
write and I'll publish it in a proper, media uh, platform, and then we'll discuss again.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
as far as diplomacy is concerned, I mean,
there's no doubt.
there's so much, the weight, the diplomacy,
Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind.
I mean, just the factor that the whole world is cheesed off with you, half the world is cheesed off with you, not half. I mean, that the Western world is cheesed off with you because you're buying Russian oil
I
tells you
couldn't
that
care.
you stand somewhere.
I
You, the,
couldn't care a damn who thinks of what about me.
that's separate, but
No, I will do
it tells
what
you
is
something.
best for India.
Absolutely.
And let me tell you, I mean, many of us might have many political views about it. But if you look at it, whether it is this government or that government or another government or no government, everyone has done our best for India. That's the point. We as Indians have to be confident that we will be able to achieve our destination. I think we'll close it here.
Done, sir. Thank you so much, sir, first and foremost for joining. And this is an ongoing subject, so we'll also come back if there are any major developments.
We will do that. Yeah.
And to all the Chinese watching, if anybody is watching through VPN, please start writing. It works. Don't use your cell phones because your cell phones are going to get checked. And that's what the latest news update is, by the way. Before I sign off, guys, thank you so much. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel. Please check the bell icon so that you get videos. Check out Sir's website and mine, thedevtalks.com. And of course, yes, if you can, do contribute to the DevTalks efforts with the options mentioned below your screen. Coming back this weekend with another subject with General Shankar. Till then, Jai Hind.